This video is about to get very surgical, so stay with me. But if you can't see, if you can't tell that Young Money is gearing up for something big, then I don't know what to tell you, bro. There is warfare going on in the industry to maintain or gain supremacy within the industry. I think even outside of the raps but just the power, the connections, etc. It feels like there's a race in the industry to dominate for the next generation. You see what I'm saying? And I think Young Money is recognizing what's been going on in this transition, right? And are planning something huge to swing the tides back in their direction. Now, I'm gonna get to my theory, but in order to understand my theory, we gotta understand a couple other things first. First and foremost, Young Money is losing their supremacy within the industry. I think this has been going on for a while, but that battle really exposed the cracks in Young Money. You see what I'm saying? To the point where the music that they've been releasing is not getting the same reaction that it usually does, i.e., some sexy songs for you, Carter 6, and really even Nicki Minaj's new remix, which I honestly didn't think it was bad. I thought she kind of washed Lil Wayne on it. But overall, what I'm saying is everybody is not reacting to Young Money music the same way they used to. They're losing the demand that they once had. I think people are starting to realize how truly limited, and I know it sounds crazy to say about Drake, but I know everybody in here got common sense. So you know what I mean by limited, but how truly limited Drake, Nicki, and Lil Wayne actually are. They're very limited artistically, even though they can bounce in and out of genres, etc. Their ability to access the depth of what they're talking about, evoke real emotion that doesn't have anything to do with being jaded or trying to get revenge or anything like that, but real, raw, authentic emotion. Their ability to do these things is very limited. So the music that's been coming out has been charged in those areas. So people are kind of expecting this now. Young Money is not able to deliver this. So what do they have to do now? They have to get the public's ears back on their side. And what I mean by that is whoever's at the top of the game in anything, basketball or whatever, that's what people look as the standard for, right? So now that Kendrick is undisputably, it's not a debate anymore, at the top of the game, the standard has risen. You see what I'm saying? This standard might be too high for them to reach. So what they have to do is get people back on their sides with their ears so that the standard is readjusted again. How do we understand that? We gotta go over the history of Kendrick Lamar and Drake constantly trying to outdo each other. Drake's perspective of outdoing Kendrick was different than Kendrick's perspective of outdoing Drake, but regardless, the competition was there. To Pimp a Butterfly drop, then if you're reading this, is Too Late drops. To Pimp a Butterfly ends up beating out one of Drake's songs for Song of the Year. I think it also got Album of the Year. It did, yeah. I think it also got Album of the Year. Drake spins the block real quick for the next year and drops Views. Views initially doesn't have a good reception. I don't know if y'all remember, but Views did not have a good reception at first. So this is where Drake might not be losing his fandom, but as far as people saying like the quality of what he's producing, people were starting to say that he's declining. This is where he's going downhill. Numbers are there. He did 1 million first week or something like that, but it's just the art wasn't received well. Kendrick Lamar drops Damn, and then it's like, okay, this is where the tide is shifting. Kendrick Lamar drops Damn, which is extremely critically acclaimed. He does a huge tour for it. You see what I'm saying? It's the biggest album of that year, no contest. Double diamond song. You know what I mean? His most commercially successful album, I want to say 600,000 first week. So this is when Drake, I don't know what happened, what he did or whatever, but this is the era where Drake comes out next year and is just all over your Spotify playlist. Like literally, his face was on playlists that didn't even involve him. It was crazy. I don't know if y'all remember, but Spotify 2018 was crazy. People was literally asking for a refund because of how much Drake's face was popping up on these playlists. I think it has something to do with the streaming deal that he had. You see what I'm saying? So they were pushing him in that way. It's like I'll do this, you do that type of thing. Now, Kendrick didn't really drop an album besides like, the Black Panther album, but that's more like a soundtrack. So he didn't really drop another album until Mr. Morale. You feel me? Mr. Morale ended up being the highest grossing tour of all time by a solo rapper. You see what I'm saying? He ended up breaking Drake's record, as a matter of fact. The very following year does the All the Blur tour with 21 Savage and J. Cole. You see what I'm saying? This ends up breaking the record for Mr. Morale's tour. So this is all just to tell y'all, this is the history of them trying to outdo each other. And we got to talk about the Super Bowl announcement. Kendrick Lamar gets announced for the Super Bowl, and Young Money as a collective has a meltdown. Young Money as a collective has a meltdown. Even Nicki Minaj is on Twitter wilding. You see what I'm saying? Birdman posted, these niggas pussy, YMCMB. I make these respect us, blah, blah, blah. Saying Jay-Z is a hater, all this different stuff. Nicki Minaj, Drake, everybody's going crazy. And this is where my heart was broken, because I'm like, my GOAT, one of my GOATs, this dude get on an interview, he's basically, or video, and he's basically crying about not getting accepted for the Super Bowl. And I understand the Super Bowl's huge. It was in New Orleans too. But you were not guaranteed that. So him doing all this was crazy. But if you understand, based on everything we was just talking about, it makes sense. They have to steer the public opinion back in their direction. What's a better way to do it than to create the pity party? You see what I'm saying? And this is coming from somebody that I'm a fan of Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne, but we got to keep it real. Fast forward, and Kendrick Lamar and SZA are dominating the records. They're dominating the records with the stadium tour that they're doing. Sweeping this shit. Sweeping it. You see what I'm saying? And that leads me to my next point. I'm talking about the Carter 6, right? And it got a horrible reception. Horrible reception when it came out. I mean, it's a horrible album. That's how I feel. You see what I'm saying? But Lil Wayne fans were still on it, regardless. They're being loyal. Nicki Minaj drops a remix on it. Nicki Minaj gets on Lil Wayne's track as a remix. Interesting. Not only that, she disses Jay-Z. She disses Jay-Z, bro. Like, listen, pay attention. Talking about the Super Bowl should fire them and hire us. All of this, Drake is supposed to be dropping an album this summer. Getting music from Drake, Wayne, and Nicki Minaj all around this summer area. Right? Interesting. I think Young Money is about to do is come together, release a project, right? And go on a Young Money reunion tour to outdo the Kendrick Lamar and SZA tour. That's the only way for them to get back on the record books. How much y'all want to bet? How much y'all want to bet? I want to give it a year and a half maybe. A Young Money reunion tour is going to take place, and they're going to do it to get back on the record books and push Kendrick Lamar and SZA out the way. Will they be able to do that? I think they could. Young Money, Nicki Minaj, and Drake at their peaks. As of right now, I don't know about all that, bro. It ain't. I don't know. I think Lil Wayne. I think it's tough to say, but I think they definitely could do some stadiums. All three of them, I think they could do some stadiums. It'll be tough to break these records, bro. We talking about they doing a stadium. Kendrick and SZA doing a stadium every other day, every 2 days. I don't know, bro. It's gonna be tough. And Kendrick still got to ace up his sleeve if they do that. There's another thing that Kendrick could do to outdo that tour, but we'll talk about that a different time. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you've been watching, but you ain't subscribed yet, especially if you new here and you ain't subscribed yet. What we doing, man? Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'm going to catch y'all.